everybody. In this series of videos, what I want to do is talk a little bit about number properties, some of the concepts that you need to have down on the GRE, and then work through some example problems. So what I think I'm going to do is for this, try to keep these somewhat bite-sized. We'll do maybe 5-6 minutes or so of reviewing over the material, like have to do a couple of them, and then jump into some problems. But one thing before we even get into this is one thing that I want to emphasize is that remember, much of the GRE math is not computation heavy, meaning you're really not asked to whip out your calculator and plug in a whole bunch of numbers and everything else. What they're really just testing is your knowledge of what are the ideas behind this, or the relationships between this and that, and so on. So this is really where number properties as a concept category really plays in. So it's not going to be much calculation, but you do need to understand these different ideas. So let's go through them. Quick couple of things. I'm going to just kind of whip through the list here. And as always, I realize it's probably pretty small on your screen, especially if you're using a cell phone. It might be difficult to see this, but I would recommend just taking some screenshots, for the text here and reviewing over it. But let's see. Okay, anyway, let's jump into this. So the first thing that we're asked about is absolute value. We need to have a pretty strong, solid concept on this. What does this mean? Absolute value. Absolute value just indicates, as they say, the absolute value is just the number without its sign, as they put it this way. It's written with two vertical lines. So you can think about absolute value as the distance away from 0. So for example, if I have 0 and if I gave you, for example, let's say we have absolute value of 3. Really what this means is that it's asking what places on the number line are exactly 3 units away from 0. That's it. That's all it means. And on the number line, we just have two directions. We have a negative direction, we have a positive direction. So if I have the absolute value of 3, that means I could be either here, 1, 2, 3, that's right here, this spot, that's 3 units away from 0, or I could be over here, 1, 2, 3, negative 3, but that's also 3 units away from 0. That's all that absolute value means. Don't get confused by it. All that you need to do is you be thinking to yourself that you are allowed to have either a positive or a negative value for whatever they give you. So we're going to do some problems in just a minute, but for example, if I said the absolute value, here's an example here, of some sort of variable, absolute value of x is equal to 4. Let's interpret what this means. It just means that this number here, whatever's inside these little brackets, it has to be exactly 4 units away from 0. Well, that occurs in 2 different places on the number line, right? Where could we be 4 spaces away from 0? Well, I could be right here, right? At this spot right there. Or I could be right here. So the translation of this, absolute value, x has to be equal to either negative 4 or positive 4. Because either one of those positions is exactly 4 jumps away from 0. That is your thought there. It's just thinking to yourself, okay, if I'm given an absolute value, and it could be whatever it might be, you can just make something weird here. Let's say we had 2x minus 3, absolute value of that is equal to 7. All that I know is this thing right here, 2x minus 3, that just has to be 7 jumps away from 0. And there's only 2 places where that can happen. That means 2x minus 3 is either equal to positive 7, because that's 7 jumps away from 0, or it's going to be equal to 2x minus 3 is equal to negative 7. Okay? This is the way that you need to think about absolute value. It's just measuring how far away you are from 0, and whatever value they give you, you could either be positive or negative distance. Okay, we're hitting we only covered one topic. I'm sorry. We're hitting about the 5-minute mark here, so I'm going to just pause this video, and we will do another one and